Laying up. The thrifty man lays up money for his old age. The farmer lays up fodder for his winter feeding. The medical student lays up information for use in his future practice. The intelligent, by due exercise and diet, lay up health, and the wastrel lays up trouble and disease by his excesses. All of us lay up something willy-nilly. It is a good idea to ask oneself, in considering any act we are about to perform, not only what will be the immediate pleasure in it, but what sort of product we are laying up for ourselves by it. We are always coming into our inheritance from our past deeds. Maeterlinck says, "There is one thing that can never turn into suffering, and that is the good we have done." This day you may have to decide between doing a thing that will gain you $1,000 and a thing that will cost you 10. In making up your mind, it is well to take into consideration what happiness dividend the transaction is going to bring you 10 years from now. The world you live in is formed on the laying up principle. Nature gains her ends as a child learns to walk and talk, by infinite repetitions. She does the same thing over and over. She is eternally learning how. Think how many centuries she practiced in fish flappers, bird wings, and animal forelegs until she could make a human arm. Let the scientist tell you of the infinite trials that preceded the formation of an eye, an ear, a human brain. The efficiency of every age depends upon what was laid up for it by the ages gone before. This age of coal and petroleum rests upon the long cycles of the Carboniferous era, when summer after summer giant trees grew and fell, and in the crucible of earth were changed to coal and oil. Nature never forgets. She never drops a stitch. What she does now is a part of what she has in mind for 10,000 years from now. The plan of the oak is in the acorn. The books were opened, says the Apocalypse, describing the Day of Judgment, and the dead were judged out of the things that were written in the books. This parable is but a picture of the scientist's declaration that our every act leaves its rut in the brain, making us prone to repeat. What we feel today, we more readily feel tomorrow. Every functioning of body or mind, in fact, having memory-making as a byproduct. The whole process looks toward a future man. Creation is cumulative. That is the meaning of evolution. The human race is cumulative. That we learn from reading history. The individual life is cumulative. Every day is for future days. Every sensation and every act of will, everything I do, has a bearing upon the me that shall be 10 years from this time, 1,000, a million years hence, who knows? Hence, if anyone chooses to believe that, after this long getting ready, nature is going to throw me, body and soul, back into the scrap heap, let him believe it. Nature ought to have as much sense as I have, and I certainly would not go to all the pains nature takes in preparing a human spirit only to fling my product at last into the ditch. Human flies. Oh, for a human fly swatter. That is, for some sort of a swatter that would obliterate the human fly. The most prominent trait of a fly is his ability and disposition to bother. He is essential, concentrated botheraciousness. He is the arch intruder. He is the type of the unwelcome. His business is to make you quit what you are doing and attend to him. He makes the busy cook cease her bread making to shoo him away. He disturbs the sleeper to brush him off. He is president and chairman of the executive committee of the Amalgamated Association of all pesterers, irritators, and nuisances. The human fly is the male or female of the genus Homo who is like the housefly. Some children are flies. They are so ill-bred and undisciplined that they perpetually annoy their mother until her nerves are frazzled, and make life miserable for any guests that may be in the house. It may be well to be kind and thoughtful toward the little darlings, but the first lesson a child should be taught is to govern himself as not to be a bother. There are respectful, considerate, and unobtrusive children, alas, too few. There are fly wives. Realizing their own pettiness, they gain their revenge by systematically irritating the husband. They make a weapon of their weakness. They soon acquire the art of pestering, nipping, and buzzing, keep the man in a perpetual temper, and blame him for it. You can't talk to them. Nothing can cure them but an 11-foot swatter, and these are not for sale. Some men are just as bad. Married to a superior woman, such a man is inwardly galled by his own conscious inferiority, so he bedevils her in ways indirect. He enjoys seeing her in a state of suppressed indignation. He keeps her on edge. His persecution is all the more unbearable because it is the unconscious expression of his fly nature. Also for him there is no cure but to wait till he lights some time and swat him with some giant gargantuan swatter, and they're all out of these too at the store. There are office flies likewise, who get into your room, occupy your extra chair, and buzz you for an hour upon some subject that you don't care a whoop in Halifax about. Your inherent politeness prevents you from kicking them out. Humanity will not let you poison them, and there is a law against shooting them. There ought to be an open season for office flies. Where the human flies are proudest in their function of pestiferousness, however, is in a meeting. Wherever you have a conference, a committee meeting, or a convention, there they buzz, tickle, and deblatterate. They keep the majority waiting while they air their incoherence. They suggest, amend, and raise objections. They never do anything. It is their business to annoy people who do things. I do not wish to seem unkind to my fellow creatures, but it does seem as if to all legislatures, conventions, and other gatherings, there should be an anteroom where the human flies could be gently but efficaciously swatted. There are Senate flies, as well as House flies, politicians whose notion of their duty appears that they should vex, tantalize, and heckle the opposing party at every point. There are fly newspapers, whose only policy seems to be petty, vicious annoyance. There are fly preachers, with a cheap efficiency in diatribe and sarcasm, and no wholesome, constructive message. There are fly schoolteachers, who hector and scold, fly pupils, who find and fasten upon the teacher's sensitive spot, fly beggars, who will not be put aside, fly reformers, who can only make trouble, fly neighbours, who cannot mind their own business, fly shopkeepers, who will not let you buy what you want. And the name of the devil himself is Beelzebub, which, being interpreted, means Lord of Flies. Keep fit. Ford, the automobile man, stated in his testimony before the Industrial Commission that he gets more and better work out of men at 8 hours a day than at 10. It is a law that holds good everywhere. The first duty of a worker is to keep himself fit, and an hour's labour when he is up to the mark, bright, keen, and enthusiastic, is worth 3 hours' effort when he is tired. Keeping everlastingly at it brings success, is a lying motto. It rather brings poor results, slipshod products, and paralysis. Rest and recreation are the best parts of labour. They are the height to which the hammer is lifted, and the force of the blow depends on that height. To go ahead without let-up is to deliver only a succession of feeble, ineffective blows. Get all the sleep you can. Stay abed all day occasionally. Learn to be lazy, to dawdle, to enjoy an empty mind. Then, when you are called to effort, you can hit with 10 times the power. The higher the quality of your work, the more necessary it is that you approach it only when you are at your best. This is especially true of intellectual effort. You can tell when you read a story or an article whether it is tainted with exhaustion. It is dull, lifeless putty. Those who court the quality of brightness, but do not keep their bodies in trim, often resort to artificial stimulants. Stephen Crane said that the best literature could be divided into 2 classes, whiskey and opium. Intelligent people ought not need to be told that this is suicide. The best form of enthusiasm is the natural reaction of one's system after a period of relaxation. The pestiferous work while you rest apostles are ever after us to improve our spare time, study French during lunch, geometry while going to sleep, and history during recess. But spare time ought to be wasted, not improved. An hour or so at the ball game, a contest at tennis, a long and aimless walk, a party at cards, a chess match, or a time spent in jolly talk with friends are not waste. They mean restored strength, upbuilt mental acumen, the doubling of efficiency when work is to do. Learn to let go. Learn to relax utterly when you sit down. Learn to let every faculty lie down when you lie down, and rest whether you sleep or not. The more thoroughly you do nothing when there is nothing to do, the better you can do something when there is something to do. The very cream of life comes from rest. The blush, the aroma, the shine of your best work lie in the hours of idleness massed behind it. The secret of brilliant work is in throwing every atom of your reserve force into it. Perpetual exertion begets mediocrity. Keep fit. That is a better rule than keep at it. The spiritual steamroller. The secret of prophecy is to find what is right and prophesy that. It is very simple. What is wrong will go down. The cosmic spiritual laws are just as accurate, just as sure-footed as the laws of gravitation and chemical reaction. Any institution that is founded on non-facts, any government that is maintained in violation of plain human rights, any system, any propaganda that depends upon cheating, lying, or injustice is certain at length to fail. The certainty of the defeat of Prussian militarism is not based on its inferiority in numbers, wealth, and resources, but upon the moral rottenness of its ideas. It will come to grief, not because of its lack of force. It would make no difference if it were 100 times stronger, but because it is based on principles which to humanity are intolerable. If the Hohenzollern crowd had met no resistance in Belgium, if they had conquered Paris as they hoped, if they had crushed England, if they had realized to the full their dream of dominance over Europe and the whole world, their structure would have crumbled just the same, because it would have been reared upon violence, inhumanity, faithlessness, and fraud. In the little affairs of a day, it seems sometimes as if the wicked prosper. The gambler is flush, the lecher flourishes, the swindler gets away with his swag, and the pirate, the assassin, and the robber feast on their booty. But when this sort of thing is stretched out over any considerable space of time or territory, so that the cosmic laws which move slowly have a chance, it is sure to break down. What we call righteousness and justice is just as much a part of nature as the physical laws. It is just as true and certain that lying brings disgrace, robbery cannot be made a permanent basis of business, uncleanness ends in shame, tyranny brings revolution, and cruelty eventuates in counter-cruelty and insecurity, as that water runs downhill and flame mounts upward. It is the glory of the Hebrew that he first saw and made clear to the world these spiritual verities. His Bible is a book of spiritual chemistry and physics. When he said that the ungodly shall not stand, the covenant with hell shall be disannulled, though hand join in hand the wicked shall not go unpunished, and be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. He was not indulging in sentiment, but he had a real vision of cosmic law. It was the supreme genius of Jesus that he saw the majestic certainty and faithfulness of this law, and recommended to his followers that they let it alone and trust in it. Vengeance is mine, I will avenge, saith the Lord. Time, evolution, destiny, nature, God. All these flow onward as irresistible tides, and even the inventive ferocity of an efficient nation gone mad cannot stop nor delay them. The Prussian military steamroller could only get so far, then it had to stop. The steamroller of spiritual law carries on. Heaven. I have discovered where heaven is. Wherever you are, it is somewhere else. It is the land of the unattainable, the island that has never been discovered, the shore no ship has ever reached. Who has found that moment, spoken of by Goethe, where one can say, "Let this moment last forever"? We were sitting on the top of the mountain, on the platform in front of the little inn, Anushka and I, looking far out over the successive ranges of the Sierras that extended wave-like everywhere. The sun was brilliant, the air was warm. Around us was spread a panorama as beautiful as mortal eyes had ever seen. I was about to ask Anushka if she was happy, when she pointed to a spot over the farthest peaks where the clouds touched the mountain tops and a gleam of sunshine blessed them, and said, "There, my soul is yonder. Do you see that spot? It is the dwelling place of light ineffable. All is peace and joy there. I think that must be heaven." "You are right," I answered. "That is heaven from here. But when you get there, you will find it only mist. From here, those clouds are white and gold, and angels fly among them. If you could reach them, you would find it bleak and cold, with only rocks and snowdrifts and desolation about you. Then perhaps you might see, farther on in the distance, another point full of glory. If you flew to that, you would find your glory point just as far away as ever. So heaven flies before us. To us, heaven is on Venus or Saturn or Arcturus. To the inhabitants of those spheres, who knows? Maybe heaven is on Tellus. That," she said, "seems a bitter view." "Not at all," I returned. "It is the only view that makes happiness eternal. The one everlasting faculty of mankind is anticipation. The one inexhaustible fountain of joy is hope. Those whose happiness is located in the land of hope will always be happy. Heaven is in the future, because the future is infinite. Besides, the future is the only time when we can be happy without alloy. The past, even as to the pleasantest moments of it, is always a little sad. So no one's heaven is in the past. The present is fleeting, sinking every minute into the darkness of the past. So no man's heaven is in the present. In the future alone is pure, ideal, untainted joy. We are born pilgrims and strangers. The birds of the air have nests, and the foxes have holes, but man has not where to lay his head. He is the gypsy of the universe. He is the bird of passage of the world." "But I have been happy," protested Anushka. "Possibly," I said, "but what keys you up to live, what stimulates and inspires you, is not the happiness you have had, but the happiness you expect to have. The surest, stablest thing in life is heaven. It rests upon the enduring stones of hope. Its pillars are all of the alabaster of anticipation. It is a city of eternity, not of time. Therefore it is that its gates are never shut, night nor day."